We've got our mushroom ready. Now the next thing we need to do, of course, with our mushroom is add that light and shadow to it. We're going to shade. We're going to shade with our pen. Now normally if you would shade with color, you would give all kinds of tones to it, shades and tones to make it darker and lighter, but we cannot do that with a pen. We only have one pen, one color, so we need to figure out how to do it differently. Now thankfully there are great ways to do that, and let me show you one of them. Alright, just going simply back to this drawing. Now that's nice, we now have a drawing of the toadstool, but that's kind of boring, isn't it? We need to play a little bit with the light and shadow. Now, the photograph gives us some hints. For the light and shadow, if we look at this photograph, you can clearly already determine where there's light, where there's not. Now, the light is obviously coming from somewhere here, shining on this part, shining on that part, bit there still, and the rest is quite darker down here. Now, in real life, this is of course colors. That gets a darker shade. So this is nice and bright, and this gets a darker shade here too. Nice and bright, and this gets a darker shade. But I cannot shade with a pen. Well, I actually can shade with a pen, but not like that. If I would shade with a pen, and let me do that on a little demonstration if you've never done that before. I'm going to draw a box. And let's say the light comes from this side of the box. That means that I'm going to take the pencil, that the light shines on the box. Oh, let me put some arrows with it. And simply set closer to the light. There's of course more light, further away it gets darker. And if I want to shade, that's called shading. What we're going to do, bring in light and shadow into your drawing is shading. If I want to shade this box, let's say there would be a lot of light there. There would be less light there, and then there would be less light here, and down here there would be hardly any light. How am I going to bring that in? Simply through a technique called hatching. Now I'm drawing a second box. Under here, with the pencil, show you just hatching simply means if I have this box and I want to hatch this, I'm going to make lines under an angle, mostly about 45, but you can choose different angles too. There you go. And now this is all shaded, but that is because you need probably, if you have never done this before, you need to practice this a little bit. So we're going to make use of that shading, and there's a second technique we're going to use that is called cross shading, and you're going to go 180 degrees and go again with all these lines. And then you get the idea that this is darker and lighter. Now, I'm going to demonstrate that on this box. The light comes from here, and this part of the box is totally lighted, so I'm not going to touch that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with one layer of this hatching. Very simple. Then on the second part, I'm going to do a second layer of hatching. See that then right away gets darker. And on the third part, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make use of that cross hatching. And right there too. See, and now that looks totally a lot darker. If I'm going to do that with the pen, let's put another box up here. There you go. Oh, yep. Now you can see it. Sorry, you couldn't see the box. I'm going to do the same actually. Now you could practice this of course with the pencil first, but once you've got it down with the pencil, we can do it with the pen. You can do the lines in one go, or you can, as I do, sketch them in. There you go. And if they get longer, you might not reach all the way. You might do shorter strokes. That would be one layer. And with a pen, as you can see, this works really well. There goes a second layer, and back here I'm gonna cross hatch that part too, and now you get that idea. Light, darker, darker, darkest. If I would do that on this mushroom, let's say we're gonna get a lot of light on this part, and we want some light on that part. We want less light in this part and really a little bit of light there. On the stalk we noticed that there was quite a lot of light down there, but let's add a second layer, and up here that is going to be really dark. So if I take the pen, now if you need to do that with the pencil, yes, please do so. But if I take the pen and I'm going to hatch this, I'm going to start with that stalk. No, let's start with the mushroom. Let's see, the stalk I want to do like this. The mushroom I'm going to do the opposite way. I'm going to just start in the back for this one. So if I hatch this, and not hatch where there is light, there you go. The second layer is back here, starting again. All right, and the third layer would be back there. And if I do the stalk and make sure I'm not touching those light parts, and let's see, there's a second layer down there, and there's the second layer up here, but I'm gonna cross hatch this part. There you go, and then our mushroom would start looking something like this. And we're going to add some more to it, but this is the basic idea. So that is hatching and cross hatching, bringing in light and shadow or cold shading into the drawing. We're going back to our mushroom. Now if you need to practice this a little bit, please of course do so. Pause the video, practice this a little bit, draw some boxes, get these nice lines in, the hatching lines, go for some cross hatching. Once you've done that, then come back and start the video again and continue with the lesson. But let's go to the other drawing. There is our mushroom. Okay, now this is slightly larger than the little one, so we have some more room. Let's go to the photo. Now, seeing indeed some of the light dark parts, what we're going to do, we're just going to bring them in more or less. I think I'm okay with that. All right, let's start. Let's add some nice light right there, and let's add some nice light right there, and we might have some light there too. The next thing, what we're going to do is, for this, let's say, get the second and then get the dark part here and around here too. The second layer, so light, and the really dark part up there. And for this one, we're going to do the really dark part only there. And this one under there. Now for the cap, we're going to do right there. Let's add that light nicely on this spot there a little bit. Let's make sure we're going to add some light there too to make it interesting. Then we're going to just go for something like this and right there. So shading, more shading, and the most shading. And then later on, we're going to add some accents with the pen. For now, we're going to do this. Now again, if you need to do this next step with the pencil first, please do so. I'm going to go right in with the pen. Now the tricky part will be, I don't want to hatch these scales on it, so I got to avoid them. And let's see, am I going this way and then that way? Yeah, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to start back here. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do it in segments here to make it even more interesting. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to shade all these gills we see on the outside, though they're not really gills. So that we're going to get some different parts on this mushroom. Let's see. Yeah, I can keep on shading here. Oh, missed one there. And the more you shade in a smaller box, really the easier it is. There you go. Now on the back here, that's a little bit sloppy. I'm going to add some more. All right, that's the first application on the bottom of the cap. Now let me do the top here. So this is nicely tricky between all those scales. All right, and here we have definitely some more room to work. Now there I need some, here I need some, and up there. Right, and now I've got that part shaded, at least. Now I gotta be careful. I'm going back in, back here. Let's see, till about here, that line I drew, I need a second application, so a second layer basically. But making sure there you go, I can keep on going. Making sure I'm not touching those little scales. And right there, I'm here. And now back here, might do this as well. I'm going to cross hatch to really bring in the dark part. There you go. All right, good. That's it. So I got already a nice going from lighter light to darker. Looking good. Now up here, I want to do just a little bit of shading. There you go. Good. And now what I'm going to do is, of course, add that second layer in here and make sure wherever I missed something, I'm going back in. There we go. Let's see, where did I put that line there? Up here, I need some more. There you go. And the line is right there, good. And then back here, this part here, I'm gonna go cross hatch this part, just a little bit. There you go. Now for the stalk, the stem, I'm gonna go this way, starting at the back. Go down there, go down there, up there. And for this part, I'm actually going the opposite way. So that you can clearly see these are two parts. There you go. And the sack, the sofa, I'm going to do the other way again. Not touching that part. All right, good. And there we go. Now let's see this top part here, around here, there, the second line is there. It's getting tricky to see, but let's see, I can see it, it's right there. All right, and while at it, I might cross hatch this part that is really dark. I might extend that just a little bit under here to create a bit more interesting shading. There you go. And for this one, I'm going to do the same. Second layer, I gotta stop right there. And the third layer is right there. And then the bottom part, I'm going to shade right there. First application. and then down here. There you go. Oh, I forgot a line. All right. There you go. I'm gonna remove the box. All right, and that is our first mushroom. Now, I'm not totally done. We're gonna add a little bit of details here to make it a bit nicer than it is now. This is nice, but we can do this a lot nicer. Let's do that. So what I'm gonna do, first of all, back here, I'm gonna add just under here a shadow line. Not there, only here. Here too. Bit of a shadow line, so you're just gonna draw in that a little bit thicker. See? And that just makes that even pop out a little bit more. Around here, I want to do that a little bit too. The sack. There you go. And then back here, this line I want to thicken a bit too. Up here too. There you go. Now, and what I want to do is I'm going to bring in some texture into the mushroom. If we're going to take a look at it, you can see there's some texture in it. There's some lines in it. We're going to bring that into just a bit random. We can't see it that well on the photo. So we're going to make it ourselves easy. And we're just going to draw in some straight lines, shorter lines, and here too, some long lines, shorter lines, varying a little bit even on there. And there you go. See, and now it looks right away a lot more interesting. What we're going to do under here, we're of course going to do that same. We're going to add that shading, that shadow right there too. Just draw that in a little bit. We're making that slightly stronger so it pops out. See, now it's getting really nice. Now I realize that with this mushroom we've done quite a lot of shading, but it's to get this technique really done. In the next ones we're going to do that a lot less, but for this one we're going to really shade it nicely. So it's quite strong, but it's okay. Here too, we're going to shade this part really like that. And here too, we're going to just color this. It's more coloring than shading, really dark, so that you get that effect. See, and now these are really popping out. I want to do the back here too. And what I want to do here, just add that shading a little bit more here to create just a little bit more interesting effect. Now with these scales, the light comes from here, and if I do this scale here, if the light comes from here, then at the back, around there, it would just cast a little bit of shadow, and we're going to do that too on these. And just to make them, see, now they're popping, now they're really going well. And now I made a mistake. You're going to say, yes, Benjamin, you made a mistake. You started totally at the wrong way. Yes, I did. Oh, well, I have to wait. Let me add just down here a little bit extra shading to make that nice. And this one a bit more there. Now, and I don't like that line. So what I don't like, I want darker. Now that's better. And around back here, I just want to add there too, just a bit more shading. See, now it looks great. All right, now I should be able to go over here. I gotta find them. Here's one. And there's one. There's one there. There's one here. There is definitely one here. There is one there. And by doing this, we're just giving it a little bit of detail, an accent. Is that English? I don't know. I'm saying a word, I'm not sure if that is English. Well, adding a little bit of detail to make it more obvious that there is something there. And there we go. Oh, some here, yes, under here. And now we got a nice, pretty nice mushroom. What I want to do is at the bottom here, add a little bit of a line too. Just make it slightly stronger and add some lines here and there. There is a little scale. Well, let's add this to it then. There you go, nice. So we're having getting the edge a little bit stronger. Now, since I forgot to shade this part, you know what? Let's draw in another one here. And let's draw another one there. All right, I think I'm pretty happy with this. It looks pretty cool, doesn't it? So there's our first nice shaded, beautiful mushroom. Only here, there's no light there. Let's add some extra shading here, and let's extend the shading just a little bit so we get an idea that this is fading away. All right, now you could do blades of grasses in the photograph and things like that, but we're not going to do that. We're going to focus on the mushrooms. And there's our first mushroom, our toadstool. Looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Heavily shaded, but it has a certain charm too. Now in the next lessons, we're going to do that a little bit less and give it different accents, but that is for the next lesson. For now, we're done with this lesson. In the next lesson, I'm going to give you an exercise to work from. All right, see you in the next lesson.